What about Foursquare's current position most surprises you? Is there something that you never could have anticipated?
I think it's really just how quickly the thing has grown. So I remember back in the early days, putting the projections together and trying to see when we're going to hit 1 million users. Like 1 million users, that's impossible. That's huge. And now after 2 years, it's like 8.5 billion users, like heading up towards 10 million users. So just the scale and how quickly it's moving is surprising.
What's your take on augmented reality? Do you think that that's going to be a major player in the location space?
So augmented reality is this, like you hold up your phone, and I'm not very bullish on that, right? But basically, if you get the same results if you just kind of put this in your pocket and like the phone buzzes when you're near things, and that's like poor man's augmented reality, which I'm very bullish on. I think a lot of, what we're trying to do with Foursquare is like push what you can do with like that poor man's augmented reality.
So it's less about actually using the camera app and more about the location awareness?
It's about getting the screen, like the screen shouldn't be between like you and I or me in the place. It's like, if it buzzes me and I look at it, silently, I'm like, oh, well, this is what's going on. Like I think that's the experience we're going after. And it's less of like, screens in front of people's faces that are getting in the way of you and I talking.
Okay, all right. Switching gears a little bit with this, do you have a sense of how businesses are using the venue stats dashboard?
Yeah.
Are they using it to iterate and to sort of adapt to the customers that are
coming in? When we reach out to merchants, and we don't have a big enough team to reach out to a lot of the mom and pop merchants and experiment. We hear interesting things back from them, but we talk to bigger brands a lot about this, like like your Starbucks and your Gaps, and it's like, hey, you ran this promotion, you have data about like how well did it work, how well it performed. They have it on their side from the cash registers. We have it on our side from the number of check-ins that it drove, number of specials, times a special was unlocked. So you're starting to see that iteration. And now that we relaunched a lot of these tools, we basically built just better tools for merchants to use and making a lot of that stuff more actionable.
So the last question I have for you, and it's one of these 30,000-foot ones. Over the last 4 years or so, since the first generation iPhone, what do you feel has been the most significant breakthrough in location? What's the thing that's opened it up?
Since the iPhone? Or?
Since the iPhone.
Well, it's, there's a couple things. It's the App Store, right? Which is like, hey, anyone can make apps, and you don't have to, you don't have to go through the carrier to do that. You can just do it to the phone. It's the idea that the app knows where you are, right? And that's the passive location tracking that's built in. But I think the most important thing is that like people understand how to use this stuff. Like my mom gets the fact that she understands the fact that the phone knows where she is. Like she uses Google Maps. Like she understands the phone can do these things. And I think people have come to expect more from their phones. Like, yeah, buy a phone for the apps. Like that was a crazy idea, 5 years ago, and now it's like that's part of the the iPhone campaign, the ad campaign. And it's just rather than just like it just being technical things that have made the devices better, it's the fact that like everyone understands what you can actually do on these phones. The average user gets it. I think that's the biggest switch.
Right. Well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks for having me.